This conference will now be recorded.
Good afternoon, everybody. Today is Wednesday, January 3rd. It is 4:05 p.m. and we are here for the Public Works meeting. Call this meeting to order here. Roll call. We have Mr. McKinnon here and Mr. Lefevre is absent. Myself is here as well, as is Jimmy Johnson, Chad Insco, our Mary Gaziano, and our engineer, whose name I'm so sorry.
Luke Ziegler.
Thank you. I was like, I see your name everywhere. 1G. Hey, Mr. Lefevre.
Ziegler.
All right. And Mr. Lefevre is present, coming in at 1 minute after. We just started, so you didn't miss anything. All right. Are there any disclosures of conflict of interest? Hearing none, take a motion to approve. I will take a motion to approve the minutes from November 29th.
I will make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I will second that. Is that including the changes?
No.
We were about to ask about. Any discussion?
Yeah, Kelly had given me some information. Maybe I misinterpreted exactly what you said, but she had, what did she say? Did she send an email to us and just?
Your email in regards to how I stated our IGA with the township.
In her recording is more accurate to what she's recorded, and she sent us a quick email. To me, when I was trying to recall it, it just seemed like it was off, but. So I guess I was just gonna leave it up to you to,
How, I guess, I remember what I stated was the fact, we obviously have to figure out our IGA, but we could also, I think, move forward to a point before we start anything major expenses or do anything, we can start doing something.
The engineering of a new building.
Yes, the architectural plans of new buildings, start doing what we want in it.
just physically breaking the ground we wouldn't wanna do until we.
Correct, in the meantime, let's work on this IGA, let's find an architect, start working on that, kind of, talk to them, I'm assuming this is on the agenda, I can't remember.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, when she went back and looked at the recording, it was more consistent with what she had written. It was just, my recollection wasn't quite right.
Okay.
And then the date, I'm sure Mary was intended to be 2023, not close to 2024.
Please don't just go
2024 to be over with.
All right. I would entertain a motion to approve those changes.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I will second it.
All in favor? Mike?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
And Jeremy's a yes as well, so that is approved. So my brain's not working today, I'm sorry, guys. Any public comment? No one has signed up. We're moving on to our discussion. We are under legal for the IGA for Winburn suit. We had just talked about this as well. I don't remember, obviously it was a couple months ago though. Whose court was this in?
I think it's there.
There.
Okay, so we're waiting on
them.
Okay.
I think you just scratch that off of the agenda.
We just said it's now up to them.
It's off our agenda until we hear something.
Perfect, we'll bring it back. Would you like me to put it under old business or get rid of it entirely?
Your choice, I mean.
I like when they stay on somewhere just so we
So just
don't
put them in old
distract.
business so we don't forget about it?
Like, I
Okay.
know it started a long time ago, they
Yeah,
just.
it's just obviously, we just don't plan on talking about it until they revisit it, but at some point,
All right, I have no problem adding to old business, and old business. All right, number 2 here, Four River Sanitation, the IGA amendment number 2. Correct if I'm wrong, but this month, we're gonna get that signed and taken care of?
Yeah, we originally had anticipated on December 15th, but due to talked to the other attorney and there was a conflict, basically dealing with the issue of, we weren't sure at that time what the status was going to be of the village president position based on when the interviews were happening and when the closing was. So since we waited anyway, we thought it was best to just do it in January.
Do we have a closing date?
I have to ask Frank of the 2 dates that I was given.
Perfect.
And I called him today and I couldn't reach him.
Don't
But I
any-
have a meeting with him tomorrow, a telephone meeting at 10:30, so I'll know.
Perfect.
Definitely before the end of this month.
The legal annexation.
Yeah, now this I know says approval of the legal expense, but the legal expense, I believe, was already approved.
I'm not gonna lie, I just copied and pasted from last week. You
Yeah.
are correct.
That was what's approved, and I honestly have to circle back with Chad so I can
Of what
get
we need to do.
back up to speed, honestly. I've been dealing with other village issues.
Perfect. So fix the wording.
It's just on the easement and possible annexation.
Outstanding. All right, moving on to projects. The retainage. I believe we're done with this, is that correct? 100% done with this? All right. Number 2, the project plan for the IEPA loan for the pending water main upgrades.
Pretty much that's in process. Continues.
Process, EPA and one of the Indian tribes has requested a survey be done for the water main and well locations. So we are coordinating with a licensed archaeologist through the state of Illinois to have this completed. And I should be having a additional services letter to you all within the coming week, 4 weeks.
Perfect. Archaeologist.
Yeah.
Rule changes.
Yeah, there was a rule change, I don't know how long ago, but tribal nations are able to weigh in on anywhere excavation.
Because
We had reached out and said this was pre-disturbed because we're already in easement. But there's several that the letters go out to,
so
and
any
only one, I think, responded.
Any
and
tribe,
requested.
so because funding comes through the federal EPA, you have to follow federal rules. And part of the federal rules, you have to consult tribes that may have interest or recruits in the area. So in our submittal process, you have to reach out to, use a software that gives you a list of all tribes that may be interested. And the Osage Nation tribe out of Oklahoma requested survey be done.
What did you remember what the spitball was? I think we were still on $5,000, but it was basically gonna be very nearly $5,000. Luke and I had to go over what was gonna be disturbed in grass, what was gonna be disturbed in roadway, what was newly
I believe
gonna
it's
be.
upwards of $5,000.
So it's just simply a survey, you don't have to try to identify potential artifacts?
So that's what it is they come out and they do shovel tests and probe tests.
All right. That's a new one. Anything else for that?
That's a delay, I mean.
Yes.
And also EPA, they kind of pick when they're gonna announce whether or not you're awarded, and this is some of the prerequisites, so we were hoping to hear of award January, February, so that then we could move
Good,
forward
yes.
with doing our final design and get out to bid before May, but this might get pushed back 9 months or more.
And at that point, we'll make the decision if it's better wait till next year, so we get the good pricing again. All right. The next item here, the geospatial. I want to say that you told me to remove that and I didn't. Is that true?
Mhm.
Okay. So that one's done. I wrote remove right on there along with the retainage, so they won't be on there next month.
And just the police committee, the geospatial, as it was on the agenda previously, we had been thinking we were gonna have to contribute funds. When the award came out, the county was awarded due to LMI from the other participants, namely City of Rockford and South Beloit. Everybody was waived their share, their shared fee. So because we jumped in with that project, we have no fee at this time. And
That's outstanding.
right now, I just want to let the committee know there is, because the work was so good and there was so much gained, there's talk of a secondary grant coming out, and we have stated that we'd be interested in participating again. However, there has been no talk of what the capital outlay would be.
We were one of the few that participated.
Yes, yep, Rockford Township, South Beloit, and Winnebago County, City of Rockford. I'm sorry, not City of Rockford, Rockford Township. That was it.
All right, anything new on our Safe Routes to Schools?
Have to defer to see if you have heard anything.
I have not heard anything.
It's usually February when you start hearing things, so.
All right, well, I won't bring it up till next month then. Clayton Court the Soper Street Water Main Project.
So, work is well underway. Survey work is being done. As a matter of fact, gentleman was back out to find a couple more control points today. I think Brandon will be back tomorrow. I don't know if we had the discussion that way back when there was a roadway right away on the far western border of Clayton Court. The village way back in the day vacated that to the neighbors, much to our chagrin, because we really would have liked to have had it. So we're assessing and setting the new pathway, but that work is all well underway. It was already approved, but I do have, Jim, I didn't realize I was looking at the meeting minutes, not the agenda here. I do have some expense that I'm gonna be requesting committee approval, but I don't know if that's pertinent.
Were you talking about the piping and all?
Yes.
It was in the board notification back. It may not have been in the original one, but Kelly has updated, it's in there now.
Oh, it's under purchasing, sorry, it's next.
All right,
Can't see that.
let's jump down to purchasing. What do you got, Jan?
Actually, I have a request for item 5. So as we designed that Clayton Court loop, we had wished to do a portion of the open cut, the portion that runs through our public works yard, where the trench would be open excavated with our excavator and our manpower. I had asked for pricing before the changes of the new year. And basically to do that 460 feet plus valving, plus adding the fire hydrant that's gonna be required with EPA review, it's $18,859.35 in supply. And this is, again, the portion that we would like to do in-house. So I am requesting board approval to spend $18,859.35 out of 5144,542 water upgrade. And it was planned for, although the budget's not complete. This will actually save, this will be one of those instances, I would assume, that it would be in excess of $80,000 to have a contractor install this portion, and we would do this with our own services. And I am requesting this go before a vote to take before the board so that we can get the supplies ordered. And this is a job that we don't have to travel any streets. If we have all the supplies in our yard, we don't have to worry about road postings or anything like that. As weather allows, we can start installing this as soon as the permit's in.
And so that's fine. You said item 5. On my agenda, I don't have an item 5.
Purchasing item, under purchasing,
You see, 6C.
Water main purchase for Clayton Court loop.
yeah, 6C5, sorry.
It was an update.
Okay, sounds good.
Updated one.
And my printer ran out of ink while I was trying to get this stuff ready.
That's what happens when I try to be ahead of schedule.
Yep.
This is my problem.
Yeah, if all things go well, you get that in there before your mowing season starts.
Yes, that's our ambition at, see what kind of spring we get or continuance here. We do have to wait for the permit to be legal to run it.
To make it legal for you.
Gotcha, perfect.
I will make the motion that we recommend board approval of that expense.
Do you want exactly that number, or
I would
do you
say
want
not to exceed 20,000.
not to exceed 20? Okay.
I'm fine with that.
And that's just for materials.
That's just materials. That does not count stone. That's just piping, valving, things like
You
that.
said it was gonna cost 80,000. I'm sorry, I should second that and we'll open up for discussion.
Perfect.
Sorry.
Now,
Okay. So $20,000 worth of piping. I guess my question is $5,000 for stone,
Mhm.
so we're at 25,000. How many man hours is it gonna take? How much, I'm looking at what is the overall figure? Yes, $20,000 of materials is an easy number to pick, and $5,000 of stone, we're at 25,000. Now, how much wear and tear is on our equipment? Do we have enough personnel? We're already short staffed as it is. I know you're doing great for saving money, and it's probably a little bit cheaper. But it gets to a point is you gotta start factoring in our time and labor and everything else into these projects, and equipment being used, fuel. I'm assuming we're doing our own trucking of stone. This all adds up, guys. Yes, I know. Is it $60,000 when all said and done, and it's 80,000 higher now? What's the better?
I guarantee we're gonna
source.
be 40% under any contract on this one. There's a lot we can't do. When we're tying in services, we can't do it. When we're in roadways and you gotta do immense roadway reconstruction, we can't do it. This is in our backyard, and there's a lot of intrinsic details in this one that you gotta dig around. Our generator feed, all the underground electrical, all the abated old wastewater treatment plant buildings. We would have to be on site for a lot of that if a contractor was there, but I have no problem. We've got the data logger for the Excel spreadsheet. We can
I
make
guess
it
I
move.
don't have an issue. It'd be nice to know at the end of this,
Yeah.
this is how much we spent for doing this
And how much
completely
we
in-house.
said, I have no issue.
I mean, I'm throwing it, because then we will truly know what is our,
And we'll know at that point whether it was beneficial or not.
you know, is this I get you, it might be 40%, until we get full numbers. I'm just curious, you know, what was the bid that came in to have a contractor do that?
So are you,
We didn't bid this one. I mean, we have a history of having high successes where we have engineered cost estimates that are $200,000 and $300,000, and we do those jobs for $60,000. But I'm trending with you. If you want those statistics to go with it, we'll do our best to get it to you, and I'm going old school, that just been around it for 30 years. I know that we're gonna be 40% under even with all of those outliers, but I will give you that data as we do it. Now, it's a hop and a skip. If we're able to dedicate time, 6 days, we're done. If we get called off, which we will, we're 90% fire department. We're a hot call routinely, so.
No,
That happens.
it's something that we as a board, we need to think about too, is, you know,
correct.
your
So-
material's only X amount of dollars, stone's X amount of dollars, some of that's easy to figure out, and it's all your time and labor, benefits, fuel, wear and tear on equipment, oil changes on this equipment, all that stuff we should be starting to factor in, because these companies, when they're bidding it, they're doing that, that's how they're getting their dollar figure. And then when we got a department that's already complaining, they're not complaining, but they keep saying we're short-staffed, and they, no offense, they bring on a big project. And if everything goes well, they can get it done in a week and a half.
So to clarify, we're looking for general ballpark. We're not measuring the tread and how much we use on it. We're just looking at a general idea of how much it would have cost. Is that correct?
I guess it'd be nice to know what it is that when we're all said and done.
Well, in terms of the wear and tear of the vehicle itself.
You can factor in there, it's running the dump truck is $80 an hour. You know, that factors in your fuel cost and your, you know,
And
you don't have to sit here and think, okay, my oil change is $62, you know, $62.
No, there's hourly algorithms that were given to us from FEMA and from MFT, that we can get that data, and we know our people data, and
And then to the second part of the clarification is you're not against them doing it this time, you just would like to start seeing some data, so as these progress over the next couple of years, we can start to make that decision of, hey, you know what?
What is more beneficial as us as a village? Is it better to get the job? These guys keep doing what they're doing with other stuff and put some of this stuff, you know, unless you had a crew of 10 guys, you could sit here and do all that stuff all day long, you know? That's where I guess I'm getting at it.
Okay, so we have a motion, and a second for an approval of up to $20,000 for the material, coming out of account number 51-something-542.
5144,
Have this to know.
water upgrade.
Any more discussion? Roll call, Adam,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes,
and Jeremy says yes as well. So that's approved, coming from committee.
and will be a board item.
Correct. All right, let's jump back over to the rest of C. Is there anything you would like to discuss? I don't see a construction planning report. The water meters, we bought the large quantity.
We've received them. the front office is gonna begin scheduling really heavy with Christmas. There was some awkward reading times and they can't make work orders with the software until the bills are done and they close out. So we're gonna hit the ground real aggressively starting next week. But we did get all 240 in. And it saved us the shipping and it's here and we don't have to hear the excuse that we can't get any. We got
We
200.
got 13 this week.
Yep. Well, we
Now-
will do it as much as the scheduling allows.
How many, we discussed this before, I was just trying to, we had 240 of them in. How many more do we need to purchase?
Basically that many, basically 200.
So we should be good to go, right?
We have to another 240.
Oh, another 240.
Another 240, which we penciled in the budget that we expected maybe to be able to do that, but.
And it's also depending on their supply.
Mm-hmm.
And if we get a good deal this time and they want to do that
We'll
again,
buy all 240 and hit the ground running.
perfect.
So, yeah, we're over 700 in, we have less than 500 to put in.
Anything else on that?
No.
The capital equipment, we have no big equipment we are about to purchase, is that correct? We are the very second.
I have a new business item, unless you wanna cover it there.
It says capital equipment spending.
So, as we were looking at our long-range plan, and, after looking at the spreadsheet on the depreciation, and of the recent activity of Fort River Sanitary Authority wanting to buy the undersized portable generator that can't serve our capital infrastructure, we currently have one portable generator at well 2, which is the oldest building, the smallest well, 25 horsepower. So we have a large enough generator there to start that. It's on wheels. It can't service any of the other wells. The other 2 wells are a 75 horsepower at well 3 and a 100 horsepower at well 4. We bought 10 years ago a used with a significant amount of hours on it, or over 4,000 hours on it, a 180 kW that could service both of the large units. It's diesel powered and towable. Well number 3 is our hub. Well number 3 does our SCADA control, does our computer mainframe, does our warehousing. So currently that generator is parked there. Our vision was that we would have a new well number 5 by 2025, and we would possibly build a standalone generator there. The costs are going up astronomically, so from the perspective that I have, it wouldn't make the most sense where well number 5 would go is at the new tower site on Faulkner. It doesn't currently have a natural gas service to it, so that would be cost. Well number 3 has a large enough natural gas service to it to have a standalone generator. So before we got too far into budget year 2024, I got some pricing coming my way of standalone generator, wherein we would move the portable generator from well 3 to well number 4, and we would purchase a standalone natural gas permanent generator and have installed at well 3. The thing that really sparked my interest in that, again, was the sale to Four Rivers of the small unit, basically netting us $12,000 in new income. And then additionally, the sale of the property to Four Rivers is gonna be, I think it was right around $15,000. So that's about $27,000. Old school, you could get 100 kW is kind of the traditional size generator, run wells, 100 horsepower and less. You could do that 5, 6 years ago for right under 30 grand. But as I started pricing, I got what I thought was an attractive price for a generator of $37,000. So again, we'd only be spending $10,000 out of our capital equipment. And we do depreciate in the budget for these items. But I hadn't considered the ancillary details that I got today. The shipping, which is $1,250, startup of $1,000, and then prevailing wage for installation of the gas and the regulator and, the cords and the Meltrick quick coupler for plugging it in. So I have a price point from Rush Power Systems of a new generator installed at well 3 of $44,687. This is in its infancy. I'm putting it before the committee today to see, I didn't have it on here early. I was supposed to have it last week before the holiday. It came in over, I think I got it on Tuesday, yesterday. As a matter of fact, it didn't have the natural gas component on it, so it was updated today. But I did want to put it in front of the committee for discussion or feedback or for consideration of approval at the full board meeting. Again, thinking that we're soon to be seeing 12.5 in a generator sale, 15,000 in the sale of real property to the district, and that would help immensely in offsetting this price. But we also do have money in the contingency fund and the capital equipment.
With that price point, is there another vendor to get a competitive quote?
There is, and I have not shopped it yet. This is typically the winner, and I have not gone out diligently and received some, but I can go to Alt for Cat and go to United Rentals and get some more competing quotations.
I don't know the number on the top of my head, but on that policy that we.
I think it's 20,000 or 25. So
I like to see some, like school had to go out to bid, do some shopping on it, see what there is.
I have no problem with that. Looking at the spreadsheet here, we are buying this year about $150,000 worth of equipment.
mhm.
I don't have the sinking fund sheet in front of me that says how much we have in there. I don't think it's that much though. So it would have to come out of the budget itself, which would then put us by. My question is, could this wait, get the pricing, but could this wait till next year?
It could, and that's another thing, is one thing I was told last year and the last couple of years, generators were basically over a year out. They said, trying to remember what he told me this was, I think it was 16 months is what they had been. So even if we had approval, we may not have it, but that's A-okay. I'm just, as these things started to come in, I was starting to think, and I really thought we'd be in February talking about constructing well 5. That's not happening. So I put this out, this was really last minute, so I have no issue going back in bids and having it carry over till next year. Or we do have a large sum in contingency, which is pretty liquid. But again, I don't want to disrupt the budget. I don't want to shake things up. Just the timing came in at the 11th hour with Four Rivers wanting to buy that generator and seeing that, to me, in lament terms, I really thought that it was going to be a flush. I thought, hey, I should be able to shop down and find a generator for $27,000, and that didn't happen.
I don't know how the correlation is on generator, but we were upwards of 18 to 24 months on forklifts.
Mhm.
And we're finally starting to see some movement of those things coming in a little bit more sensible time frame.
The conversation I had was 14, 16 months, but they're hearing they might come down to 9 months. So we have time, and we can come back after budget, or we can come back next year.
I would at least recommend, while we're trying to finalize the budget, you at least pencil the number in so you can.
I would definitely earmark this money we're getting for the generator.
Oh, 100%, that will go right into the sinking fund.
27,000 earmarked right now is,
Yes,
that goes for
Money
that.
for that generator.
yes,
Yep,
and that's where I was gonna say.
earmark it for that, and then we'll start doing the homework and maybe prepping for other,
There's no issue. I wish I had
Because based on,
thought of it earlier and had 3 bids to put in front of us and drawn it out of the
I
way.
can't remember if ours is 100 or 150, but it's pushing us at work right around 60,000 reinstalled. And I can't.
Yeah, if we went out to bid, if we did a bid process, I have no doubt that there would be 55 to 60,000. If I collect bids, I think that it's gonna be right around this 50,000, 45 to 50,000, but I'll do my work and, you know, we'll see where we go. This is not make or break. We do have 2 generators, so
Well,
we only have one big enough to run both big wells. But
as long as it wasn't an emergency, just because, just looking at next year's plan, we only have one item, and if we push that item off, we would have nothing for next year, so it'd be a
What
great
was
time.
next year's?
It's a $180,000 dump truck.
The 2000 replacement for the 2013.
Yes.
This year's the skid loader up.
What kind of shape is that in?
It's in pretty good shape, but
It'll take 2 or 3 years to get
To
it.
get it.
Correct.
What exhaust system is on it?
it's pre-def.
Do not get rid of it.
Yeah.
But it's in the shop right now. We left today with the exhaust particulate filter issues that we've been fighting all week.
That's
So,
about $6
again,
grand.
So, just wanted to see if it was an absolute emergency, but if you
No.
wouldn't mind calling those other companies, then we can come back and
I
have this
will
discussion.
do it and I'm okay with that.
Don't get rid of it.
Yeah, I wish we kept the 04 many times.
We just had to do it, I know, $6 grand, just to pull it, clean it, and put it back on.
There is.
I wish my motor
Oh,
home was 1 year older too.
Thank you. I was like, I thought I saw
No
something.
doubt.
I wish,
I got the depth, so.
I wish the new ambulances we just got were,
Have a great night, thank you.
Cindy, you
were
guys.
gas.
We'll see you, Lou.
See
A very temperamental system.
So, let's, there's nothing else to discuss on that. Let's move on to letter D. And let's go to number 2 first, just because it's an easy one. So approval or disapproval of the truck bids.
Kelly said she checked the box. It was after 4 PM. We only received 2. We had a couple more people interested, but I don't know who, wants to open them. They're unopened at this moment. You want us to open them?
Feel
You wanna
free.
open them?
Which letter are you on right now?
D2.
D2.
Double I.
It's on the new agenda.
Okay,
My old agenda, I only have a D1.
I was on the D, I was looking at D of old business, sorry.
Oh, gotcha. Part-time seasonal help, they're in the envelope.
I'm like,
Oh, it's exciting, it's like we won the lotto.
Mhm.
What number are you hoping for?
Well, I think realistically it's between 14 and 18,000. I could see somebody, I would suggest we don't sell it for $14,000. If somebody went over 20, that'd be really, really outstanding, but it's 2011. The seats wore out, the radio don't work.
If you make it to 30, we get the generator right now.
Right, you make- But
please make the order the generator.
I think somewhere around
I'm not sure
17,
that that's
18
ever
would
gonna
be
see
high.
30 grand. Somebody be crazy for 30 grand.
Like I said, you can order it.
Maybe it's
You have to get it
maybe
installed.
another village has been waiting for so long to their dump trucks, like we were.
Hand rip bid.
Who's it from?
Gary Olson, bid of $16,501.01.
You must have expected somebody to come in at 16.5.
Yeah.
That's OLSON.
OLSON.
That name sounds familiar.
They're local. Tree business.
Now we add these 2 together.
Right?
Yeah,
Can
no
you guys
doubt.
just?
I think that's what we need. Put 'em
Yeah,
together,
you guys add them together, you could share.
right? See if we can get them to share.
Tim and Steven Mitchell would like to place a bid for the 2011 Ford F-350 from the village of Winnebago for $16,100.
Now, legally, could we accept either or neither? Or do you have to accept the highest one?
You accept the highest bid,
Yes.
but you could.
Unless
say
there's a
that the
circumstance.
need-
Is there a third one at all, or just the two?
Just the
It was
2.
just the 2. We had 2 other people say.
I
they
just didn't
were-
know if the other envelope was sitting there.
I had it just in case. Let's open it because it said a dirt separator. Mike Green. Let me open it and make sure he's not.
And
looking
while
for
you're
this.
opening that, you said the minimum you wanted was 14.
Yeah. I don't think the village would do very well to sell that for less than 14,000. I own a 2011 F-250 that all the trade-in people tell me around 12 or 13,000. It's not a dump truck. is with a plow, that's not a one-ton dump truck, this is not
Okay.
a bid.
But.
No, that's when they want the money out of your pocket.
There's something else I want that we don't have a budget for, the composter.
All right, I guess I'll make the motion to approve
Selling
bid
bid.
for $16,501 to.
And 1 cent.
Oh, and 1 cent
To Mark Olson.
Gary,
Gary.
Mark Olson's the accountant.
Yeah, you're right.
I wanna give these to somebody else. Mary or Jerry.
Somebody take them away from me.
No, I guess, would they have to be a resolution, everything approval for the board meeting then? Okay.
I will second so we can get to the discussion phase.
All right. Go ahead.
So even though you hope more, you figured, you said 14 was kind of your minimum, 14.
18, I think we'd smile from ear to ear. I think the going rate for a gas engine truck was really right there, 16, 17.
It's right. It's a fair price.
I know that them two guys definitely would have been researching all of the periodicals that sell those type of things, so. Here, how old is it? It says 2011, did we get it in 10?
It's 13 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in good shape, but
It served us
I mean, it's
really
not-
well.
obviously at 13 years, it's not gonna be in good shape. I mean,
No, it'll be,
The
like
body
my
will start
Suburban when I got
falling
rid of it was 18 years old. I mean, it was a workhorse, but it wasn't the prettiest truck anymore.
No, yeah, it needs a seat. We're in and out of the driver's seat, the seat is shot. That's what, when you go to do trade-ins, they always want a picture of that, give us a picture of the radio and the seat.
What was the deadline for submission?
4 PM today. I think it's today the 3rd or the 4th.
Today's the third.
The 3rd at 4, that's.
Any other discussion?
No, probably tomorrow morning, it could be one sort of dropped it in the box.
It's stuck on the
Kelly
inside for 30.
checked and it was after 4 o'clock.
Let's go ahead and have a roll call then. Let's go Mike.
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
And Jeremy's a yes as well. So that is approved coming from committee, full board meeting.
Yeah, I guess the good news is it's two nice people. The bad news is, one or the other's gonna lose out.
Right, well, right.
They're pretty close to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think they both,
That just shows you they probably did their research in the market, you probably where you get much beyond.
I mean, that's the worst part about sealed bids. You just have to be comfortable with whatever it is you put out. So,
All right.
But I think either one of them knows the village well enough, and the way the equipment's taken care of, that they're not gonna get a lemon at this point.
So our last item under current business is the opportunity transaction resolution proposal. Okay.
Is that new, or am I?
No, I wrote it. I made that fancy word up there. I couldn't think of how to write it efficiently here. Long story short, there are, I mean, Chad, you wanna talk about it here, or do you want me to? Really, there's opportunities at different points for, I'm not gonna use the word handshake agreements, but for a, hey, we've got this, are you looking for this instead of a payment, we can try to make a deal out, okay? And this recently was one of the interactions that we had. So the discussion is, while there's not necessarily anything wrong with it, we wanted to make it more,
Transparent.
thank you, that's what I was looking for, more transparent. So really, there's no resolution in front of you, obviously. So the discussion really is this something we want to do, period? And if so, how do we want to make that decision? If, for example, I was, Chad was doing something and I had a whole bunch of mulch and the village needed mulch and I needed my driveway plowed. And if he was going to plow it for me, it's like, hey, that's awesome, that was $80 worth of service, here's $200 worth of mulch. And then everybody wins out.
I know, I mean, there's tax and law implications on bartering, though, isn't there?
That's what that is, pretty much.
You gotta offer it across the board.
So it's,
But the other guy may not have that mulch.
Correct. So, and I mean, that's just it's similar to the same concept of when we increased the amount that department heads were able to spend. So for example, we were in the middle of a project and you saw that something else needed to be changed, you could go through, you've got that ability to make those decisions at that moment. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but it happened a couple of years ago, which is why we increased it. You know what I'm talking about?
I'm trying to track, I mean, I'm kind of tracking more the other way, like it had been brought up. Previously, there was a trustee that was on the board. We obviously remove a lot of trees, and that trustee willfully wanted to take the wood from removing the trees. One layman may call it firewood, another is gonna call it junk or logs. And we were dumping it into his yard. And Mary brought up at that time that the village needed to make sure that opportunity was afforded to everybody of the village, because the village was doing it. This was brought up then, in concept, the board agreed and said, hey, if we have commodities like that are being handled by the village, just like the new one, the grindings, the regrind, and that's changed over the years. We have no issue if it should be offered to everyone, that this commodity brought into the village had some value, or some people want it. I mean, we've always said, we're not in the business of selling it. We're not interested in any personal gain. Well, the certain contractors or certain locale people, you know, case in point, a local handyman borrows us all kinds of tools, all kinds of specialty tools, comes and has looked in on things that were in his specialty, and yes, decision was made on my behalf that to satisfy him for his goodwill, he would like to have some of the regrind. That was a gesture in kind that, you know, perhaps has sparked this conversation as well. Certain other people have done, we borrowed a man lift in an effort to, we didn't want to continue violating OSHA for hanging Christmas decorations, and we were allowed the use of the man lift all winter to save us $2,000 on installing a furnace, and in exchange was a couple of loads of regrind that wasn't purchased. So it was brought to me was, is a potentially, is there some written document that recognizes that exchange? Or B, do we holistically say, hey, as long as you're a village resident, like in Stillman Valley, the burn pile was the holy grail. And in Stillman Valley, you had to produce your vehicle sticker, that was $10. If you had your vehicle sticker, you were allowed in the gate and you could put your items in the burn pile. And likewise, the mulch that was collected from our tree trimming activities could be removed from the public works yard as long as you were up in good standing with your vehicle sticker.
So to satisfy the, everyone having the availability, we were working on getting it added to the website, just a link as a resident. If you're interested in, say, firewood or gravel or mulch, you click on the link, say your name, what you're interested in, how much, and if we have some, we can contact you saying, hey, we've got some, feel free to come and grab it.
So I'm gonna throw this out there at you. So if I need a yard worth of road rock, I can just come down there and get it for free?
That depends. So regardless, you would.
No, if you have a pile of road rock that's sitting there and you put it on the website, if you need some, come grab some. I'm gonna come grab the yard.
You would click the link saying, yes, I'm interested in some. So then the village would contact you saying, hey, we have some, and then we could decide at that point, if we're going to charge it, it's the same price for
But I
everybody.
think that, it seems like we're getting a little convoluted in here a little bit, because I would think if it's a resource the village is gonna use, we're not gonna be distributing it to the
Correct.
village residents. But, when you have a situation when you just cut up a bunch of trees, generally speaking, that's gonna be a cost for us to haul them out of there. But if we knew somebody that was, hey, I'm happy to take them here, so you drop them off on my doorstep or whatever, you just save the cost of disposal and they've got a benefit. But the question is if you got to all of a sudden go out and start to communicate to everybody, hey, I got 20 pieces of, I think it maybe as a starting point to probably try to show full disclosure that probably any of those times that, something has been given up for, we probably want to at least document who got it and
And that,
what was the basis of the offset.
and that was the purpose of this item.
And again, certainly, yes, I'm in full agreement. If you had a bunch of mulch because you had to write up a bunch of trees and you know you gotta get rid of that stuff, well, yeah, that makes sense as, hey, residents, if you are a resident of this village and you're interested and you can come down between this time and we'll dump, in the
The
back.
pile's there, you come load it yourself.
Yeah,
right.
That's
Well,
what,
that would be the preference.
That happens like with those Christmas tree recycling places, they come dump them.
yeah.
Show them,
And
they trim
that,
the mulch is always there, and people come in the springtime, they know where they get their free
But
mulch.
okay, you come and load it yourself, what if you get hurt on our property? You signed a waiver?
well, that's.
Well, I guess the property it was a public park, so it was one of those things, it was, it wasn't like,
There might have to be a reason.
I just think they'd have to do something.
But so there's 2 points there, right? And I brought both these points up here, and we're kind of arguing here. One point was the ability for the constituents to request it, right? We put it on the website and says, hey, if you want to request it, go ahead and request it. We got none, we're not gonna give you any. If we've got something we're willing to sell you, we can let you know, but if there's none available, that's it. But they have the ability to request it, if at any point, and so it sits in there for, maybe they request in January, and come April, there's a huge storm, hey, we got some mulch now, would you like to grab it? But at least they've requested, they have that ability to do so. That is the giving it to the full public.
And you do it in the order of the request.
Correct. Yes, and if we don't have any, we don't have any, no big deal.
And you limit the request, so the first guy doesn't
Take
take
all.
the whole year's worth of
Yeah,
supply.
Yeah, and that's fine. The other side of that is for exactly what you had mentioned here, something like, hey, here's the deal, you're gonna have to spend 20 grand to get rid of all of that, and then you might need some later on anyway, how about I take it off your hands and you can use my scissor lift?
I guess where do we have to watch out that, it's not, it's kind of bartering, but on the other hand, is the first thing is a resident made a goodwill gesture to the village is, hey, you know what? You're custodian of my taxes or whatever, I happen to have this piece of equipment, rather than go out and spend that money, you're welcome to use it. And somewhere down the line or whatever, then it just happens to be an offsetting opportunity. How closely do we have to watch that line where we got a, quid pro, or whether you have an illegal bartering situation?
Yeah, well, and I think it even goes beyond that, because it concerns me when you talk about we're using someone else's equipment. All right, what if the equipment breaks?
Well,
We get hurt.
Well, that's the same thing that we had with the Mitchells when we had to do that
Right,
whole agreement
but
thing.
we
But
had something.
Right.
same, anything really. What if you built something for me or something like that instead? But yes, you get the liability behind the using somebody else's equipment and. So.
It's obviously, there's lots of, protections that have to be implemented and probably it's hard to conceptualize and look at the broad perspective. You almost gotta look at event by event and say, okay, how do we learn from this? How do we?
And I'll have to look at it, honestly, what the parameters of the bartering are. It's just that the more you have it, so it's shown that it was available to anybody, obviously, then the better off you are, that it's just.
And I know the village has gotta operate a little bit differently than I did as an independent business, but I'm here to tell you, when a vendor went up and above and beyond to help me out of a jam, the next time his bill was $400 or $500 higher than the next guy, what he did for me is being considered. And, fortunately, as an independent business, I don't have to, look at the exact dollar. When I had those 2 quote things or whatever, it's like, okay, I know what this one is, but this guy bailed me out several times for $300 or $400. I'm going the other way.
Well, exactly, and that's what you can do privately, that you
Correct.
can't do publicly.
And at the very least.
I think we're just opening up a can of worms right now that I think we should just postpone for a bit.
Or at least get some examples so we can intelligently look at the specifics on them. Yeah.
But I think it's a topic to discuss.
Yeah, absolutely.
If it's going on, or has gone on, we need to figure out the best way to address it.
And so when you say postpone, how?
I would wait till we get an administrator in here to help coordinate some of this stuff.
How many, Chad, in the course of a given year, how many times does something like this come up?
Like 2, maybe 3, and it rarely happens because we usually don't let it happen.
Well, no,
And it used to be that the millings that we got off, when the millings came off the road, they were
So
usable.
when they do the street project.
Right, when they do a street project, they come in, and typically the millings being delivered to our yard saves us 20, or it's just like you just said. The bidders know, the bidders that have bid here successfully before, it's in print that the millings are gonna stay here. Well, there's a reason that bid is $20,000 or $30,000 less. There's been times where it was more than we could use, it was substandard product, and some people like it, people typically ask. We continuously and routinely say, we don't sell it, the village is not in the market of selling, and there's been these couple of times that somebody went over and above for us, and I made the decision to contribute to the excess millings to them in lieu of cash payment. And Mary talks about rectifying it. I wrote a check. Half of those millings belong to the contractor that mills them. That's in print, that's in his bid, and evidently from recent activity, that was not okay, so I wrote a check. I personally bought those millings, and the village didn't give those millings away. I did. And we can end it right now and just say, all you contractors and all you folks that are good neighbors or whatever, this is just uncouth behavior or however it needs to be described, and we will augment our processes moving forward.
Typically, how much of those millings in most situations, where do you use them for village purposes?
Road edges, it's condensed and crushed down to what's called roadstone size, CA6. So our most favorite place to use it is like when we do a water main break and we know we have to dig that material back out to patch it with blacktop. It goes in as a final foot and it compacts and sometimes stays really nice. And then when we have to core it out, now it's kind of contaminated. So it goes back in the pile. Many times it's used over and over again. Our number one purpose is road edges, graveling road edges, and then potholes, temporary potholing. But we use it for substrate for sidewalk base as well. Those are the predominant uses. Most places that you would use regular gravel. You can't use it down in the hole, so we use CA7, which is clean chips, down around pipe and what have you. Then we use bank run sand, and then the last foot or 2 foot, depending. If it's February, we're gonna put 2 foot of that millings in the top of the road, and then in June or May, we're gonna core that back out. Olden times, that stuff got hauled away to the dump. Well, now it's milling, so it can be used again and again. And we use it for our own parking lot, parking yard areas, but the predominant usage is for road edges, which is,
It's a little more durable, it doesn't wash.
it packs in really nice in August.
If
It
you get some
stays,
good stuff on a nice hot July day, it actually will crust over and itch things.
it looks real nice, and it's, it's attractive to look at, and, in heavy plowing years, it gets blown to the bottom of the ditch. It's not as hard on the mower or windshields, it doesn't go flying out. So those are our predominant uses.
And in most years, you're gonna consume it, but other times you have an odd situation where you got an excess. Right?
Yeah, and there's been times that we've, again, since we started this recent process, we separate when we're doing water main breaks or curb repair or what have you. We separate instead of going to a dump. We separate it, keep it on property, and when the crusher comes, it all gets crushed up. So it's a recycled material. Some of the Chicago suburbs, they set up what we kind of talked about. You got compost bin, dump your sticks bin, and here's a recycled material, because recycling is becoming more and more prevalent, that if you're a homeowner and you need to shovel it in the back of your pickup truck and take it somewhere, or if you have a trailer and you can dump it. But that scenario will be like anything else. Somebody will show up on Sunday with a skid loader in their cousin's dump trailer and haul a bunch of it out. But again, it was beneficial to the village. There was nothing underhanded, but as I understand it, it's wrong, and I've done my best to rectify it. And if there's no good way, we will re-augment our standard operating procedure. And we won't keep the millings in the future the street project will suffer, it'll go up $20,000 or $30,000.
I guess I prefer that we kind of think our way through this thing or whatever, see if we can't find a way to make it work and.
And Mary, you said you were gonna look into the official wording?
Right, on the whole bargaining thing.
And again, even if it just ends up being a piece of paper saying, we're giving you this value, you're giving us this value, and you both sign, at least there's
Well,
knowledge.
and something that's then approved by the village to say what was gained from it.
Correct.
Yeah, I guess at a minimum would be, at least we are aware of the situations that might come up or whatever, and then, that way there, if somebody sees something, they don't come up that they're blindsided, that they didn't know about it, and they're suspicious that something is not going, even if we do that, there's always gonna be a resident that thought somebody got preferential treatment, but I'd rather deal with that than rather than somebody thought something was being done underhanded. The world is not always 100% fair.
Any other discussion on that item? Any discussion under old business?
Let me look, the generator was under new business.
Correct. Well, current
And
business.
we know we got, we still got a little bit of time before the,
5:30, you give
is it police or finance?
police.
Please.
I got double header tonight.
Just again, to please the board, information only, but Stephanie had offered, we intend to do a pretty hefty notice to the public about not parking overnight downtown. It's, with the softer winter, a couple little ice events and things like that. We've been out, there's a lot of cars parking in the roadways. There's some new tenants downtown, so Stephanie and, Sue and Kelly, we've all discussed that. Actually, we discussed it last month, but we said after the holidays, we'll try to put out several reminders in advance of snow fighting to remind people of no overnight parking downtown. And,
How does that, I mean, we have the 2-inch ordinance, and in this case, you're really not, but, I mean, obviously, could we, you can actually isolate that business district or something and say, hey, there's just no overnight parking.
yeah, it would be an ordinance, and then we would get some signage.
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking that it's good in the short term until we get it formalized, that use the communication channels we have available,
And it's a double-edged sword, some people maybe are leaving the establishment, shouldn't be driving, somebody's giving them a ride home, so you'd far approve of that. Things just hadn't segued, the overflow parking hadn't gotten paved, but that was the intention several years ago, was to make that overflow parking, and people could park there, any of the downtown people could park over here, and it was, just know that it's not gonna be plowed 100%, because there's always gonna be cars, but keep the business areas open so we could get cleared. And then overnight parking, well, because we have establishments open, I don't know how late Kelly's is open. I think the taverns can be open till 2, and I don't know if Kelly's is open later, if it's got a different stipulation. It's 2, so then you could say from, 3 a.m. to 6 a.m., no parking.
Yeah, I'm 100% agreement with you. I'd rather that vehicle sit overnight than the wrong person driving home. But still, we gotta at least get consistency down, so at least somebody, well, wait a minute, we're getting all this communication that says I can't park here, but yet.
Because in the past, it's the problem's been tenants.
Yeah, the tenants
Yes.
that can park it round back, and, they all have off-street parking.
And I know you would never do it here, but tow once and they'll stop parking. That's what they do in Rockford. It's true. They'll be gone.
We try to take it more friendly.
I know.
Unfortunately, nice guys finish last sometimes.
Any employee input? Any new business?
I had more, I covered the generator earlier.
I was just on SIU's website. The virtual classes for Class D and C start the 22nd through the 26th.
I actually had that.
$300 a piece.
What'd you say the start
Class D and
date?
C, what now, is that water operator?
Water operator.
What's the start date?
The 22nd of January, virtual.
I'll get on that tomorrow.
And there's obviously other ones in there. What is a Class K?
As industrial wastewater.
Okay. So,
Next month's, for all the new business, next month's executive session, or for next month, during executive session, I would like to go over Chad's evaluation, just because that needs to get taken care of there. I know you were working on getting things put together for that, so just wanted to let you guys know as a heads up. Next meeting date, what do we got? I can find my phone. What day does police always have their meetings?
It varies, it's usually last Wednesday of the month,
Perfect.
because we had a bunch of stuff going on.
How's February 7th? Wednesday, February 7th.
Sounds good.
I'm on shift.
You're on shift?
Yeah, you can still do it, I'll remote it if I can. I mean, as long as, if he's gonna be here, you'll be fine.
I won't be able to do it till about 5:30 though, 5:15.
That's fine.
Fine.
5:15 work for you guys?
It should. All right, just wrote
February
23.
7th.
I was wondering how many times I was gonna do that too.
I think this is my first time today.
7 Feb.
So far, so good. The only problem I got is, I'm so focused on, yesterday, which was the second, I was so focused on getting the 24th right, I kept writing 1/4 slash 2024.
Check, just don't cash that check yet.
Yeah, hold on to it. All right,
What time did you say, 5:15?
that is correct. Practice ends at 5, so I'll be here stinky at 5:15.
Wrestling?
Okay, I'll move further.
That's right. That's why I was all the way over here, just trying to get practice. If there's nothing further, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And that is approved at 5:07.